Big Brad is doing his job.
Welcome to the second part. Here is Henning chasing Miles on his 1300 GS adventure, so the Reno called. Miles is the only one till now that conquered the Finch Desert race on a 1200 GS in 2017 if I'm right, and he finished this race. So a very experienced rider. Here you see a guy that is walking through the desert. So we are coming closer to the desert because this sand is getting more and more. So at the beginning I was a little bit of afraid of it, and I was thinking how I will manage to ride in the sand, but with some kilometers and with some time I managed to do it quite well, let's say it so. I don't want to say I'm a pro on this, but I was very satisfied and I could push and ride faster and see where are my limits. And also I was, as you see, going from left to right, so I was a little bit surfing in the dunes. Yes, the dunes are not something like the dunes in Morocco, Tunisia, or in the Sahara. It's the Simpson Desert. It's the Simpson Desert, so it's different, but I can say it was still a very cool experience for myself to ride on such a dune or such dunes and in such sand. So I probably also learned some balancing skills, or they got added. I'm not afraid of sand anymore, because before that I never experienced something like that in this intensity. So I drove in sand, but not something like that. And of course it's still different than in the desert of Mauritania or Morocco, but it was still a very cool experience. It's also, you see, this desert is very quite green, and this is also why we couldn't cross the desert. We couldn't cross the desert because there were like very big floodings happening before our trip. So the lakes that are normally dry got full with water, and rivers that are not normally there were there. So they stopped us to cross the desert, so we could only enter it and then turn around and go back. And here you see I was a little bit off track. Just maybe chasing my luck, or just seeing where things go and see how I feel on it. As in the morning I was quite, let's say, angry and upset because I needed to change the final drive on one of the HP2s because it was failing already, the bearing, and was not a perfect start, let's say so. And the last days were a little bit challenging because this desert thing and these quite big spaces are a challenge for a European person to imagine even how big and how open the spaces are. So of course I was overwhelmed with everything, but I was doing the best out of it, and playing in the dunes, playing off track, because to play off track is completely different than to ride a track that is already there, or road, as you see probably, because you have the bushes and then also you go and then suddenly it's quite soft and you didn't thought that it will be soft, but it was very cool. the first day in the desert was quite short for me because, as I said, of the rebuild that I needed to do on the final drive, or not the rebuild, I just changed one spare to the bike's swing arm. So yeah, this is already the second day in the desert, and I think we were pushing quite a nice pace on these roads because we had a quite challenging timing for this day set it up. So we go into the desert and then going back because we were going to the French line and then we were wanted to go back, but this is like, yeah, it's a big job to go also in these dunes and to ride them, and then of course to go back, and you know it will be a long day already from the beginning. So because we had still some kilometers left and I had also my wish to conquer the outback rodeo, I was just only going with the, let's say, slower group, and also because, yeah, I could help them if something happens, and the other guys were going to the French line and pushing their limits a little bit higher. It was for me very cool. As you see, I was pushing and it made me quite happy to ride there and, yeah, to see this whole space, this whole desert thing, and to ride it. It was just, yeah, I'm still, even now when I look on these videos, I'm speechless because, yeah, that's something you don't find it. And I know I will say it quite often, but you don't find this in Europe. This was, I think, already the way back, and you see also how steep this, let's say, so little hills are, and also quite a cool track uphill. What maybe some of you will know is on the top of these hills is mostly, or most of the time, the most soft sand. So you go up and then you close also a little bit the throttle to go over it, and then you open again the throttle. First of all, also you try to be on the right side because it could be a truck or something there, and yeah, that you don't hit anything. So yeah, normally they have also some big flags on the cars so you see them from far, but yeah, it doesn't mean that you would see them really. Here I had a little of a playing ground for myself because it was not so far anymore to the campsite, and yeah, I could play a little bit in these bigger dunes where you could do some quite cool hill climbs. what was for me a big challenge that was going down this. As you see, the front wheel just collapsed and then you almost fall. So I stopped and then thought, okay, let's go slower. So slower worked, but there was no real possibility to push, like for me, to go faster. And then I was trying the biggest one that was there, quite fast, and then suddenly, like here, I got like out of momentum because it was very, very soft. I was happy that I reached it so fast, so far up. And yeah, as you see, it makes no sense to do anything. I just try also to push it back, but yeah, the bike stays already by its own. So I go down to the back and grab a little bit of a hole, so it will help myself to push the bike a little bit back. So you will see it. And then I will try something that I tried already in the morning, and this is my second attempt now to make it like there is a pivot turn but next to the bike, and I almost managed it, but my front wheel catched on the left side of the hill, so yeah, it falls. Yeah, was a fail, was not so nice because you see it facing downwards the hill. It's very heavy. It's of course a little bit on the hotter side outside, and yeah, and then to gain traction on your own foot is a big challenge. So yeah, you see me struggling. I didn't film how I put it up because it makes no sense to hear me and my voice. Just be happy. This is, yeah, I'm very happy to see this video, that I was very able to participate in this 20th anniversary desert crossing, Simpson Desert crossing. It was not a crossing, so let's say entering and exiting, but we entered the Simpson Desert from Broken Hill, and then from Broken Hill we started, and then Mount Dare was the last stop, let's say, to the Simpson Desert. And you see also the guys were also struggling. I got off a little bit of the throttle. It was maybe a fail. I should have stayed on it, but you never know. Maybe someone has fallen, and then you see when you're too slow, you struggle. You need to have a pace, a certain pace, to keep up with the sand. Maybe I will mention a little bit how it was for me as a European to go to Australia, and also to how it was to ride there. So, as I mentioned before, the landscapes and the wideness is just breathtaking. The wild wildness. This means like kangaroos, emus, donkeys and so on. This is something that was also breathtaking, because we met so many deaf kangaroos, deaf emus, but also the animals alive were much more than the wild animals in Europe. And also to see how big some farms or some other, just a road, you just come to the road and it's just straight, or the navigation says to you in 500 kilometers right. It's not completely straight, but you stay on the road for 500 kilometers. This is something you don't find so often. And then also here, for example, the flatness you see here for hundreds of kilometers away, and there is like nothing, just only the sun, no clouds, the sky, some bushes, and that's it. Yeah, here lion failed, but he pretends this was no fail. So he just wanted to see where we are. Yeah, and here we have been on a farm that allowed us to pass, to be faster in Broken Hill. And this was also like we were on one farm for hours, and we just going left, right, and then I just lost already my mind where we are. I was just following the guys because nothing is looking the same, everything is looking the same, because there is like nothing to orientate besides some bushes or bigger trees or smaller trees. So yeah, and then it's important to have a fly net, because there are so many sandflies around. It's unbelievable. Also to have fuel minimum for 300 kilometers on this day, and this was the last day, we needed for 470 kilometers we needed to have fuel, because there was no fuel station during this stage. So you need to have enough fuel with you. So also you need to stop, and this means we stopped with our HP2s on every fuel station that was reachable, and on some we used fuel bladders to fill them up and have extra spare fuel. In the Simpson Desert we had 200 liters of fuel with us on the truck, because otherwise we would not manage to do this trip. It would be just not manageable with a normal fuel tank on these bikes to make it. You need to have a spare of this. Also, of course, of water. But if you don't have fuel, 100 liters of water will not help you. So this was also cool to experience something like that. Also to sleep in a tent, and then I can say to ride to the darkness was nice when you were going like me, that the sound is in your back, but I can assure you it was 90% on this trip. The sun was in your face, doesn't matter what time, or especially in the evenings it was in your face. So I was very happy also on this day that it's getting dark, but the sun is in my back and not in my face, so we could push faster, because if the sun is shining in you, you are not going that fast. That's not possible, or it is, but you will probably fail, because you will see something or not see something that you should.